Russia-Ukraine live. Zelensky hails historic Dutch. Danish F-16 deal. Exact number of F-16 jets. Ukraine to receive still unclear. The number of F-16 jets Ukraine would be receiving from the Netherlands and Denmark remains unclear, as Zelensky said Kyiv would get 42 jets. But the two Scandinavian countries, in a joint statement announcing the deliveries, did not specify numbers. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte said the Netherlands has 42 of the jets, but said some will be needed for training purposes. When they will take to the skies over Zelensky's nation also remained unclear, but Rutte said he hopes it will be soon. The F-16S will not help immediately now with the war effort. It is anyway a long-term commitment from the Netherlands, the Dutch leader said. We want them to be active and operational as soon as possible. Not for the next month, that's impossible, but hopefully soon afterward. Russia remains China's largest crude supplier. Russia remained China's largest crude supplier in July, Chinese government data has shown, even as Russian shipments fall from all-time highs on narrower discounts and rising domestic demand crimps Russian exports. Arrivals from Russia were up 13% from the same month last year to 8.06 million metric tons in July, or 1.9 million barrels per day, BPD, according to data from the General Administration of Customs released on Sunday. For the first 7 months of the year, Russian arrivals were up 25% from a year earlier to 60.66 million tons. Despite continuing Western sanctions and a price cap on Russian shipments, Russian SPO-grade crude has increasingly traded closer to benchmark grades, as strong demand from Indian and Chinese buyers erodes the sanctions discount. Chinese refiners use intermediary traders to handle shipping and insurance of Russian crude to avoid violating Western sanctions. F-16 training has begun, but more time needed to train engineers, mechanics. Ukraine's Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov has said training had begun for Ukrainians to operate F-16S, but added it would take at least 6 months and possibly longer to also train engineers and mechanics. Training will take place in Denmark and Romania, officials from a coalition of 11 nations have said. Ukraine, which expects several dozens of pilots to be trained, said last week it did not expect to be able to use F-16s this autumn or winter. Zelensky hails historic decision to hand F-16 planes to Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky hailed the decision by the Netherlands to hand over F-16 planes to Kyiv to help it battle the Russian invasion as historic. The third point for today is absolutely historic, powerful, and inspiring for us, Zelensky said at a press conference with Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte at an airbase in Eindhoven. This is another step towards strengthening Ukraine's air shield. Denmark confirms transfer of F-16S to Ukraine. The Danish Foreign Ministry has confirmed that the transfer of F-16S to Ukraine will occur when conditions have been met. The conditions include successfully selecting, testing, and training Ukrainian personnel. The Dutch and Danish governments are also involved in a coalition that is working to train Ukrainian pilots to fly the advanced fighter jets. Danish Defense Minister Jakob Ellemann-Jensen said Friday that the training of Ukrainian pilots is starting this month. Officials have previously said that Ukrainian pilots will need 6 to 8 months of training. A Danish F-16 fighter jet demonstrates the interception of a Belgian Air Force transport plane as they fly over Denmark on January 14, 2020, as part of NATO drills to deter Russian planes from entering Allied airspace. Picture taken January 14, 2020. Johanna Geron, Reuters. 4 regions in Russia attacked with Ukrainian drones. Moscow. The Russian Ministry of Defense claims that Ukraine attacked 4 separate regions with drones. Russia's Kursk, Rostov, and Belgorod regions, all of which border Ukraine, reported attempted drone strikes, while Russia's defense ministry said it had jammed a Ukrainian drone in the Moscow region, forcing it to crash in an unpopulated area. In response, Russia's aviation watchdog said it had briefly halted flights to the city's Vnukovo and Domodedovo airports. The Kursk region's governor said 5 people had been injured, and a fire had broken out when a drone hit Kursk city's railway station. Rostov's governor said no injuries or damage had occurred. Netherlands, Denmark to supply F-16S to Ukraine. Dutch, PM, the Netherlands, and Denmark will deliver an unspecified number of F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine once conditions for the transfer have been met, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte has announced.